Hey, deserved listeners, 90 Day Fiancé. We're going back in time and watching Danielle on the first season of The Single Life. Let's watch.
And we decided to file for the K-1 visa so he could be here with me in America.
Finally.
Wow, I forgot about that scene. The intense feeling that she had for him. I mean, I haven't forgotten about that, but the way it's portrayed, or the way she's exhibiting it when she met him again for the second time, or not second time, met him in the States when he came over for the K-1 visa. And, you know, the way she presents is that of a very young person. I can't know, obviously I'd have to assess her, but throughout that season, and maybe the second season as well, she just exhibited so much childishness. Not, you know, the way that you'd call a kid immature. Oh my God, that's so mature. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, sometimes I talk about regression. Sometimes I talk about people having trauma at a certain age. Sometimes we're talking about developmentally. Some people are sometimes operating from an earlier point in life, if you will. And, you know, the way that she was holding now, well, but, you know, in a certain way, the way she grabbed him, you know, and held him might be the way you would with anybody that you're just desperately attached to. At the very least, what I'll say is that in that scene, I was just visceral, like, whoa, that's right. She was in love with him in a way that I don't know if we've really seen on this show before, where it's not just in love and infatuatedly in love, but also just the desperation, you know. It's like the way someone would hug someone having been disconnected by prison for 20 years or something, you know. Let's rewind that and just watch the behavior. At the baseline, what we could say, and I'm sure she would agree, is, boy, was I in love with him.
Finally.
And the apparent contrast in their feelings, like he almost disappears, eclipsed by her presentation. He's, you know, smiling and hugging and caring on the outside at the very least, but was he on the inside? It's always been the question.
You may kiss your bride.
I'm not allowed to kiss in this time, in my religion, in this month.
Yeah, and in that moment, some people were commenting below saying that absolutely, according to his religion, he wouldn't be able to do that. Other people were saying, well, you could probably make an exception, or why did you get married during that time? Why'd you say it in that way? You could have kissed someone on the cheek, or, you know, who knows? But it certainly is a check mark in the column of he might have either never or had waning feelings for her at the time.
But then after we got married, everything went crazy. There was trips that he would take and pictures of him with other women.
Yeah, the pain she went through was quite evident, and the behavior that she exhibited was sometimes functional and sometimes dysfunctional, sometimes immoral, sometimes not immoral. So there's that, and I'm guessing she'll be grieving for a very long time. And the pictures, I'm forgetting the timeline on that, but in my head, you know, they got married and very quickly started to conflict in very significant ways. There were reports that she was demanding sex out of him, and at first I'm like, what? No. And then she kind of confirmed it, if I remember right. And given the rest of her behavior, it kind of fits. Who knows what really happened. She barred him from leaving a room. He was trying to get out, and she refused to let him leave the room, which is absolutely an assault. She, there's all this conflict back and forth. And then he left, I think, pretty quickly. And this was all off camera. We heard reports of this later on. And separated from her and continued working in town. And then that's when he started living with that Tom guy, I remember. And then sometime after that, I think, that's when these pictures started to show up of him, Mohamed, with other women. Was he dating? Who knows? He claims they were just friends. They could have been. If they were dating, was he saying, look, the relationship is over. It was so bad. She lied to me about her finances. We have no chemistry. She was abusive to me. She demanded things. I thought maybe things would work, but very quickly I realized it wouldn't. I'm done. I'm moving on, and I'm going to date other people. But of course, the internet's going to shred me alive, and maybe my visa will be taken away if I'm found to be doing that sort of stuff. And so, I'm not gonna tell people that I'm doing it. Or maybe there was just minor flirting, or, I don't know if I said this back then, but who knows? I don't have any evidence of this, but someone like that might have a personality trait where, and this is something that I don't know if I've ever really thought about with some of these cast members, that you might come from a schema that in order to get your life goals met, you have to attach yourself somewhat manipulatedly to a woman, maybe even an older woman, maybe because of the way you were raised or something. I think I talked something about that with, not exactly, but with Samit and his mom, and then the projections he had with Jenny. Who knows? But we can imagine someone being raised in a situation where they depend on their mom, an older woman, and they learn in order to get their needs met, they have to cold-heartedly kind of manipulate them in order to get safety for you as a child because of the way you're being treated. And then you lock that in terms of a template of like, that's what a relationship looks like, is where you attach yourself to a powerful person who has control over things like a green card, I suppose, and what comes with that, a better economy or the American dream or something. And then I have to kind of, if things go well, I can be with them and I'll get the goodies and I will please them, And so you can imagine if that was like explosive, it didn't work out, and then I move on to other people, that I might still compulsively be attracted to women who have power, i.e. green card access, and I'm just going to kind of latch on. Because it is, there's a possibility that Mohamed didn't really date these other women. There seemed to be some minor evidence of that, particularly given, I think, the number of them. I can't remember the details, and you could imagine, that. So another way to put this is, he's in a foreign country. He wants to stay in the United States. He has no money, no power, no job, and he needs support, no friends. And he's just looking for anyone that will help him. And he walks up to a guy in Walmart, I think, Tom, or Costco, was it? And befriends him. And just like, I just need someone to be my friend. And sometimes pseudo early dating behavior can be exhibited or used to gain, friends right away. And so maybe that was it. I don't know. At any rate, she starts getting pictures and indication that all go in the binder that he's at the very least with other women. We don't know what was happening. And was that dating? Was it before they had essentially broken up, even though on paper they were still married? I don't know. But that's my sense of the timeline, is that the other women started showing up when he basically said, I'm done, I'm moving out, our relationship is over, I'm moving on with my life, and so should you. That was my sense. I'm not trying to defend him. And who knows, maybe he was cheating during the marriage. I don't know if there's evidence of that particularly, or before separation, you know, anyway.
It made me wonder if I made the right decision in bringing him here when I started seeing those things.
You're a user, Mohamed. You used me.
So I get it. And in a certain narrative, which we'll never know what really happened and all the different possibilities, that he did use her. And that could feel pretty horrible. Even if he didn't, if you felt that he did, that could feel pretty horrible. Even sexually, right? Just imagine, because they did have sex, and just imagine, like, golly, if this guy never loved me and was just using me that whole time, and I married him, I let him into my house, we had sex together, I was in love with him, and he just, like, never liked me. Because there's some, you know, you wouldn't be silly to consider that. And so the anger. Now, she would take her anger and her hurt and channel it into stalking and, you know, abuse. Now, some of it you could say is somewhat justified. You know, if he did use her, then he deserves to be accused of that. But anyway, I'm just being reminded of this famous scene. Hey, deserving listeners, as you all know, I am constantly recommending that people go to therapy. We all need therapy from time to time. Well, one of the options available that is definitely worth checking out is BetterHelp. If you're looking for a therapist, I would give it a try by going to betterhelp.com/Kirk. Make sure you use the promo code Kirk because you get 10% off your first month, and it really helps us out. As you watch these videos, I know many of you have been motivated to find your own therapist, which is great because you deserve it. And I know also that it can be hard to find a good fit, find the right one for you. Well, one of the options available in terms of your shopping is to go to betterhelp.com/Kirk. I've been told you can start communicating with your therapist in under 24 hours. You can message your counselor at any time. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. I've also been told that it's often less expensive than in-person therapy, and you should know that this service is available to clients worldwide. So go to betterhelp.com/Kirk to get 10% off your first month today.
I am going to guarantee I will get your fucking ass deported.
Nobody will have sex with someone like you. She has a problem that she needs to see a doctor before she have sex with someone. No man in this life will enjoy having sex with a woman who has a bad smell.
Yeah, we've revisited this scene a number of times, but I don't think I said this the last time we revisited it, which is that I think he was trying to, who knows, but there's a possibility that at this point he was like, I want to stay in the States and I want to make it clear, convincing that I was in it to win it. And I left her for a variety of reasons, and there's 5 reasons why I left her that are legitimate, and I need to really convey that. And because she was saying you wouldn't have sex with me, and that is evidence that you didn't really love me, that you were just in it for the green card. Because if they had sex and intimacy and warmth and romance, then that would be evidence that he was at one point in love with her and wanted to be with her. And so he rather unwisely decides one of his main points of defense is, no, I didn't have sex with her because I wasn't in love with her. I didn't have sex with her because she smelled bad. And then that backfires because everyone's looking at him like, why would you out that? And you're coming across like some kind of cold-hearted, horrible person. So, it backfired.
She never listened.
That hurt because no woman should have to hear those kind of words coming from your spouse.
Yeah, I mean, the pain that this woman has been through and the pain that she's probably been through her whole life, I have a hard time believing that this is the first time she's had this sort of pain. I'm guessing going back to the beginning of her childhood. Sometimes I worry about what this show is doing to people, and capitalizing on. I often talk about early childhood traumas, and a good number, especially of the cast members who are the most notorious, seem to exhibit just classic signs of early childhood problems. But the show, I think, cleverly edits out any evidence of that, or tells the cast member don't talk about that, because that will really make the show kind of too real. Because, who knows? But it wouldn't be unusual for anyone on this show to have been sexually assaulted growing up. So let's just imagine that Danielle had some of that in her childhood. Of course, there's no evidence of that. She hasn't stated such as far as I know. But let's just imagine that, and then imagine like some, if not a majority, of the problematic behavior that we see is a result, not that it excuses the stalking and other kinds of things, but that it kind of explains her behavior. Well, it really changes the tone of this show, does it not? Or someone like Evelyn or Big Ed, people that people don't like. Imagine if we knew really what was going on. I mean, it wouldn't be unusual to have like these individuals to have like significant difficulties growing up or in the past at some point as a factor in some of their behavior. And it would really change, right? It'd be like, instead of, oh, ha, 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 look at that person, it would be, oh no, this show is, we're watching someone have symptoms and have typical life circumstances and relationships that are a result of these kinds of psychological syndromes resulting from trauma early in their life. Like, why are we watching this? And I don't know, but Danielle kind of particularly alerts me to that, and I just want to point that out. And of course, I'm now watching this show and putting it on YouTube, but I always try to use this show to, my whole mission on this podcast is try to make the world a better place. I don't know if I'm doing it, but that's my attempt. And so I'm not trying to capitalize. I'm not trying to sensationalize. I'm not trying to use these people. I'm trying to show compassion. I'm trying to model compassion. I'm trying to help y'all with your lives or people that using these individuals as examples of humans just like us, who have problems just like us, just like me, and we can learn from that. So I'm rambling, but I just want to remind us of that, and also maybe kind of remind myself that for Danielle, I think she is one of the most emotionally hurt person that we've seen. The amount of pain that she exhibits, not only from Mohamed, which of course was very painful, but throughout her life, I'm guessing. And then of course, you got the internet and the amount of pain that people get from that. So I have a tremendous compassion for her, and maybe she'll find love this season of Single Life.
I mean, my grandkids do come over, but my kids are all getting older. The only one I got home is my youngest daughter, Brienne, who's 19. I've tried to find love again, but rebounds don't work, especially when you're still mourning because of your spouse. Come here.
So there's nothing wrong with saying, I am too fresh off of a relationship to date. But the statement that rebounds never work is a cultural notion that is just not borne out in the data. Rebound, what is the definition of a rebound? But a relationship in her circumstances could work out. It might not. But if you if you don't want to and you don't feel ready, then absolutely just don't. But these notions that get thrown around, like rebounds never work, it's always a bad idea, it's just not true. There might be, an increased risk of there being problems, but I've worked with people who come out of an extremely difficult divorce, or breakup rather recently, and start dating, and as long as they're true to themselves and true to others, they're like, hey, I'm coming out of a pretty rough relationship, and just want to let you know that. We don't have to talk about it, but I just feel like you should know, like, where I came from 3 months ago. And but I like you, and I want to see, it. As long as people are honest with themselves and other people, then there's nothing wrong with taking whatever path you feel like taking at that time. Sometimes it's a great distraction. Sometimes in the midst of that grief, for some people, they'll start dating as a way of, just something to do, something to get your mind off of things, or an ego boost a little bit of just like, oh, okay, yeah, that was a good date. That person seemed to like me. And that feels good, and it was fun. And I was honest with them that I wasn't looking for anything serious right away. So, there's pros and cons. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.